All right, if you're in Canada and you are just so tired of that cable bill creeping up month after month, well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into the tech that's letting thousands of Canadians, just like you, finally cut that cord for good. So, let's just kick things off with a question that probably hits a little too close to home for a lot of us. You open that bill, you see the number, and you just think, seriously, there has to be a better way, right? Well, that exact feeling is what's fueling this huge shift in how we watch TV here in Canada.
In this widespread frustration, this is what our source material calls the cable cord conundrum. It's that feeling of being stuck, trapped between these crazy high prices and just wanting a better, more flexible way to watch your favorite shows.
And look, according to our source, this isn't just a feeling, it's a hard fact. We're seeing this especially in major hubs like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. Cable prices are they're surging, and it's forcing more and more people to start looking for an escape plan.
Okay, so if traditional cable is the problem, what's the solution? Well, the source material we're looking at points directly to something called IPTV, positioning it as the modern answer for all those frustrated customers.
So what in the world is IPTV? It stands for Internet Protocol Television, but let's put that in simple terms. Instead of your TV signal coming from a satellite dish on your roof or a physical cable line into your house, it's delivered straight to you through your internet connection. That's the whole ballgame right there. And this is where you can really see the difference. Traditional cable, it often has to compress its signal, and that can really knock down the quality. IPTV, on the other hand, can deliver a much higher bitrate. You can think of it like a bigger, wider pipe for all that data to flow through, and that allows for a much crisper, super fluid picture. The source says this is an absolute game changer for watching fast-paced sports, like catching an NHL game on Sportsnet in glorious 4K. But, and there's always a but, right? Just like with any technology, it's not always a perfect world. The source is actually pretty quick to point out that not all IPTV services are created equal, which brings us to a really common and, let's be honest, incredibly frustrating problem. Oh, you know this feeling. We've all been there. It's the most critical moment of the game. The final seconds are ticking down and bam, the dreaded spinning wheel of doom. So what is actually going on behind the scenes when your stream just gives up on you like that? Well, according to the article, the culprit is often geography. Yeah, seriously. A lot of these generic providers host their servers way over in Europe. So when everybody in Canada gets home from work and sits down to watch TV, peak hours, those servers on the other side of the world just get totally overloaded. And that's what causes all that lag and buffering. So how are some providers trying to solve this? Our source actually uses one service, smart4k Pro, as a kind of case study. It breaks down how they claim to tackle these really common IPTV issues, specifically for us here in Canada. The analysis points to 3 key claims about how this kind of service is supposed to work. It's about where the servers are, the tech they're using, and having a channel lineup that's actually built for Canadians. So let's take a quick look at each of these claims. Okay, first up, server stability. The core idea here is really simple. By routing all the traffic through servers located right here in North America, the service is basically designed to fight that peak hour buffering problem head on. It's all about cutting down the physical distance that the signal has to travel to get to your screen. Makes sense, right? Next, the source talks about a feature they're calling anti-freeze technology. Now, what that really means is optimization. The claim is that their streams are specifically set up to work really, really well with the big Canadian internet providers, like Bell Fibe and Rogers Ignite, and that helps keep that stable, high-quality 4K signal flowing. And finally, we've got the content itself. Instead of some generic global list with thousands of channels you'll never ever watch, the focus here is on giving you the key Canadian networks that viewers actually want, everything from national news on CBC to regional sports on TVA Sports. So, after breaking down all the tech, the problems, and the solutions they're proposing, what's the final verdict from the article? What's the big takeaway here? The source's final word on this is a pretty direct piece of advice. It basically argues that if you want the absolute best quality, you need to avoid those cheap third-party resellers, the ones who are often just repackaging somebody else's service, and instead go straight to a primary source provider. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. With technology improving all the time and our viewing habits changing so incredibly fast, are we actually looking at the new normal for how Canadians will be watching TV in the years to come? It's a pretty fascinating thought. Thanks for tuning in.